Hi, and welcome to all of you today. We're happy to have you with us today for an exciting workshop, Enhancing Higher Education with BigVu, a professor's perspective. Today, we are fortunate to have with us Martine Cadet, an innovative adjunct professor and content marketing strategist, renowned for expertise in integrating technology into education. Martine has an assistant professor at Southern New Hampshire University. She also has been working at Hudson County Community College with public speaking, communication, presentation skills. She's been at Keene University. She's got numerous experience. And most interesting for me about Martine is Martine started way back in 2003. And back in 2003, Martine was on a totally different trajectory. She'd been working as an assistant buyer and then subsequently as a logistics coordinator. And she's worked herself all the way up to be a top consultant and professor in content and media and leveraging content and media for students and for higher education and as well for solopreneurs, small business. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Martine today and thank her very much for being part of us. Before we hand over to Martine, just to let you guys know, please let us know where you're coming in from. Just pop us in from there. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat just before the question. Just put a Q on there so that we can sift through and work out what the questions are. Martine would be happy to have any queries or questions from you guys during the course of our workshop. So thanks very much and welcome, Martine.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, Kevin. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I'm listening to, I'm like, I did all that. Wow, that's really impressive. Woo! I'm excited to see you guys. And I'd love to ask Kevin, the audience, a question. Is that okay?
Sure, go right ahead.
Yes. And so if you're seeing me and this is not your first time seeing me, I'd love to know in the chat if you don't mind putting a Y, right? Have you met me before? And put a Y in the chat so that way Kevin and I know that I'm not a stranger out there online. I'm just kidding. But if this is your first time meeting me, I'm so excited to see you. Kevin, you did such a great job introducing me. I've been on this trajectory of really professional development, honestly, right? Coming from the corporate world, and in 2 weeks, I'm celebrating 4 years since I got laid off. Did you hear that? Celebrating. I'm very grateful for my background in corporate America. And today I get to, bring my creativity, my experience hands on in the higher ed field and industry alongside the consultation that I do online. And so it's a great life right now. And I hope for it to last forever. But for now, I'm excited to be here and I'm super honored to talk about BigVu and what it's done for my professional development.
Amazing. And over and above that, I really get from, I took a little bit of a look at your CV and some of the information that you sent through, and you have an overwhelming desire to help other people and to empower other people. And I think that is so important today, because it's not just a matter of training and teaching and giving skills and finding solutions for people to leverage their content and leverage their skill sets. It's also, personal care. You've been through it. You've done it for yourself. It's kind of a great role model for people. And I hope our users can tap into that and, check out and ask you questions about that. So we're really happy to have with us today. And I'd like to just hear a little bit about how did you get started in this? And firstly, let us know a little bit how you got started and how BigVu became part of the journey.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great starting question. And so for me, it started off a little bit soon, 10 years since I got into the online space. I was still at my corporate job, pretty much curious but not serious at the time. I had a great corporate job, 6 figures, traveling the world, but yet I knew there was more to me to give. To your point, back to the top of the conversation where you shared that it's amazing how I could tell you want to give, and that is exactly what triggered me to figure out how to do just that. And I found the internet, just like most of us do. We go online. How do we do this? How do we do that? And that's what I did. Fast forward, I ended up finding out about internet apps. It's my husband that told me about Instagram. I'm like, what is that? And next thing you know, YouTube. And so it evolved. And I decided to start building my personal brand. And it's been a process, right? And I did that while working my corporate job. Now, I don't suggest that you do that if you're still at your corporate job. It takes skills. You want to be a great employee, if not an awesome employee, right? First, and then you start your business. And so I was able to leverage both. It was tough, but I did it. And so today, how did I get started with BigVu? BigVu came into the picture for me early on. I can't recall exactly which year it was, but I remember finding you guys early on, and I was like, this is great. And I tried you guys out, but I wasn't much about video marketing at the time. It was more about photo for me, as far as marketing my personal brand and my jewelry that I was selling at the time. So I remember you guys, and you guys came back in the picture once I immersed back into this new space of higher education. I was faced with figuring out a way to engage my students online, particularly async, meaning that I was not able to see on Zoom, but yet gave them great content and great lectures. And I searched and I said, I know a place where I can go that can help me structure my videos so that they're not 56-minute long and
Right.
boring. And then I started researching, and you were the top ones that showed up. And that's how I got started with you. And I said, oh, this is the answer. And I'll end with this, Kevin. The reason why I said this is the answer is because at that point, I had already created long form videos for my lectures online. And I always ask my students feedback. And one of their feedbacks were the videos are too long.
No.
The videos are too long. And I'm like, I agree. And I said, I got to find a solution. And you guys came in the picture. And that's how I got started with you.
Perfect, perfect. So firstly, we're glad that you found us and that you've continued to work with us. We're really happy about that. And also we're glad, we're privileged to have you today because we kind of only discovered you fairly recently. So we're happy to learn that you've been using our product consistently. And I'd like to hear from our viewers and the audience, what are the problems that they are dealing with? What are the kind of things in the world of content that they are having issues with? What is it that they'd like to solve, the problems they'd like to solve and find solutions for? So maybe we can kind of get a bit of idea as to where they're at and how it is for them in their personal journeys. So let's just hear a little bit about, you kind of were faced with the dilemma of learning about social media, learning about the big wide web and content and the relevance of content. Like you were in the sea of information and the sea of just so much happening and this incredible growth of the industry. How did you find your feet in that space?
Yeah, in the space of higher ed, I knew. So I came in, met you guys again, and I said, okay, I know the dilemma, and I'm very curious to hear what the audience dilemma, as you asked them, is. But for me at the time was definitely, how do I make it so that my lectures and my videos and for my education part of my life is more concise and engaging, and simultaneously, how do I make it engaging as well for my own marketing, of my own brand, right? And it's not that I don't know what to say. It's not like we don't know what to say. But the challenge is, I don't know about you guys watching and, engage with us and let us know. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever had to take like 25 takes for a 30-second video, right? That was, my whole Saturday for one video. And so time, structure was a challenge. And so when I found you guys, I was like, okay, I can not only have my thoughts put together, and mind you, back then, we didn't have the beautiful AI built in that you have right now, which makes it even better, right? So I'm talking back then, scripting on my own, right? Not having your AI today that gets to say, hey, you're at 1 minute. No, you're at 2 minutes, right? Which is pretty powerful. And so being able to bite size each learning objectives of my chapters. And on top of it, Kevin, ready for this one? I advanced so much with you guys thanks to the way it's built in. I'm able in the LMS, the learning management system in the higher ed, we're talking higher ed space, right? Whether it's Canvas, Brightspace, D2L, or Blackboard, whichever, especially in Canvas, what I do for those of you who are educators getting ready for the semester, listen to that. Use BigVu, right? Use BigVu, bite-size your content. And when you put it in Canvas, not make sure, but I would love for you to do that. I do it all the time, especially for my online courses. Embed a quiz between those videos because that engages the students, right, to ensure that they're consuming. It's similarly, Kevin, you know those training videos that many corporations do, right? Yeah. And while you're watching the video, it pauses and then it asks you questions just to assess your understanding. With you and the way you're built, meaning BigVu, with you, we're able to do that. At least I know I am. And if you're an educator and you're like, okay, hold on, rewind, how do you do that? Listen, towards the end of this conversation, Kevin will share how to get in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to walk you through it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to come back to that because Martine has generously offered to do 3 giveaways for our viewers. So for those of you that want to qualify, we'll put Martine's contact details to connect with her on LinkedIn and to take a giveaway from today's session and just send that to her. And then you guys can qualify to get to be one of the 3 lucky winners of the 3 free sessions that Martine will be giving away. So we'll give you more details about that at the end of today's workshop. That's something to look forward to. And I think, I'm just that coming to mind right now is that, the amount of tools that are available today in content creation, I think it's really important to know your tools and to know how to mix and match and what elements of the tools you can take out in the creation of your content and the leverage of your content. What would you like to add about that, basically, in terms of?
I agree with you 100%. It's so important to know your tools. I'll explain to you the reason why this is so important. Like for me, I know BigVu so well as my tool that aside from being in the higher education space as a professor and doing my lectures with you, I also own my own content marketing agency where I create content for clients and consult them. And so because I know BigVu and I know what it's capable of doing and I know what I need for my business goals, which includes having to edit videos in other languages, I've been able to serve one of my clients who has because I speak French and Creole, I'm from Haiti, right? Who has content in French that I still do translate, thanks to your platform, this tool, BigVu, right, in English. So it takes a few steps, but it's not as complicated. And I know it's going to get even better because I've seen how the feature has enhanced. And so I truly believe what you said is so right, Kevin. You have to know your tool. And once you find that tool, because I know I have with BigVu, it's super exciting to see all the additional features that come to life. And I know I've reached out several times with ideas based on what I know I want to achieve. And you guys are very receptive and very open to, hearing ideas. And so that relationship, that consumer, business relationship you have is really helping also us business owners, at least for me, to embrace this tool.
So let's just go back to that point. And you say, it's important to know the tools and that, there's obviously a learning curve. So, me as an individual, I would ask myself, what tools do I want to invest in? Because I first need to know, what is it I need? What are the kind of tools I need? Because if I'm going to invest time learning a tool, I want to make sure that I'm getting the right tools. So what would your advice be to our viewers today what are the kind of tools that they should be looking for that are going to help them leverage their content, reduce the time spent on content creation, and get better results?
Great question. I know for me, I constantly look for tools, right? Accuracy, right? Accuracy, because there's many tools out there. As much as they're great, you run whatever it is that you want to run, and you spend time re-editing because it's not accurate enough, right? For whatever
Yeah.
reason. So accuracy, and I'm also looking for tools that I know I don't have to go 60 other places to get the noise reducer to be able to trim the video. I don't have to go to CapCut, then go there, and then go here, and then there's nothing wrong with these other apps, but being able to find that tool, my question is always, what's the maximum I can do here, where I could just stay here, do the work that I need to do efficiently, accurately, and go, right?
Okay.
And so accuracy, definitely performance is something that I look for. Third, I'd say features. I mentioned the background noise reducer and the editing part, like making sure that all this is in house, right? And truly, how quickly the output is going to come out, because I know there are apps that I've used, because I use them all. Every time I see them, I'm like, I have to try. They take forever, or they crash the computer. Um, I could do an editing on BigVu, and I've done it several times, where I leave the app, right? And, it's still working. The last thing that I'll share, the other thing that I look for, Kevin, when I look for a tool and investing in it, can I use my mobile phone and my desktop at the same time, right? Are they talking to one another when I use this app?
No, no.
Because believe it or not, there are many apps out there where it's only user friendly on desktop, or it's only user friendly on mobile. The fact that I could be on my mobile phone, on my BigVu app, record whatever it is that I want to record, or script, because we're entrepreneurs, we're educators, there's so many ideas, script, and then go back home and be able to use my desktop should I want to. It's amazing,
Yeah.
that they're syncing. So that synchronicity between the two is important.
And that's something that we've given a lot of thought to, is the synchronicity between the web and the mobile platform, and the ability to communicate and work remotely with different people. That's something that we really, we've got team programs and that which enable to work with different people on different desks and different projects and so on and so forth. So if I go back to what you said, and I'd like to just, Nancy had a question, but it wasn't 100% clear. She wanted to know about content production. I'd like to know something about content. You can pop it into the chat, Nancy, and we'd be happy to kind of elaborate on that. I'm sure Martine would. So what, Martine, now what I heard is that there's the video content, right? There's the interactivity, quizzes or whatever aspect is there. Obviously, AI today is also a very big part of it. And then, I would imagine, the seamless side of things on the equation is, publishing your content, getting it out there. Those are all aspects. So, like, would that be like kind of a holistic approach to it? And what would you look to do to make sure that you are limiting the time spent on different platforms to go from A to Z without, getting distracted out there, and making sure that you get quality content in a relatively small space of time? Because I know a lot of our users, they solopreneurs, they business persons, they've got a certain amount of time that they can invest in learning a product, in creating the content, and getting it out there. Is there like a programming that you would recommend? Is there some kind of a strategy that is relevant for that?
Oh, I just came back from a conference where I had to speak about for 90 minutes about video marketing. And of course I spoke about BigVu. And of course I gave everybody in the room a process. Because listen, we don't have time. We want to be on social, we want to be online, we want to create those lectures. So what's that process? And just like you shared, with now the introduction of AI, my goodness, and it's within the app. Sure, you could go to another AI and come back to BigVu and do your work, which is what I did honestly initially until I was like, what am I doing? It's right in there. And so it's super, super simple. Listen, at the end of the day, what makes it difficult for any creators, in my opinion, is when you don't know who you're talking to.
Uh-huh.
That's what's going to make it difficult. If you go into BigVu, BigVu is not going to tell you how to build your message.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it will help you. So you have to be prepared to go in, and that's the process. I would say first, make sure you know who you're serving, what's your pain point, what's the goal of this chapter. If you're an educator, before you go in there and have the AI assist you in scripting that powerful, engaging message, because it's going to
Uh,
do it and it's going to do it well.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm sure that you have a lot of goodies for our audience in how to do that and going about it. I just like to come back because Ansi was kind enough to put a question in there.
Yeah.
So in fact, you're speaking about I want to add music intro before I start talking, plus add a second intro, separator, and last music to conclude in the background. So I'm going to ask you two things on that. Firstly, BigVu does have the capacity to do that. Secondly, I want to get you to give us a little bit of a professional opinion about when to add music, when not to add music, what kind of content is adept for music, whether depending on what the type of content. Maybe Ansi could kind of give us a little bit of a background, what she's using the content for, what content it is specifically. And I just want to thank everybody who's been posting, Brian, Ansi, Terry, I hope I pronounced that correct, Terry, and Dwayne, all posted on the chat there. And continue to pop your questions in there. We really appreciate that. So let me just let you expand on that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm gonna piggyback on what you just shared. Depending on the type of content you're doing, I'll tell you, for me, I do have an intro in one of my lectures, right? For each of my modules. For those of you who are in my space, you know what I mean. In my learning management system, I do have intros. What does it say? Well, it's an intro to the chapter, the learning objectives, the set of videos is going to cover. It's an intro, it's an agenda, right? And I have a little bit of music, not much, because listen, it's higher ed. I want them to be focused. So I do have an intro there. And then I start my series of videos. However, when I do videos for my clients, right, interaction, whether it's consulting them or recapping on something, I start and see, today we're going to talk about this XYZ, and then I intro the intro video. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely,
Similar
absolutely.
to, right, to kind of like a YouTube kind of feel. So I agree with you, Kevin, and see, hopefully we're addressing your inquiry here, which is really great, because at the end of the day, we want to nail that, editing, because the messages could be great, but yet we're editing, not so well. I would say be mindful of where this video is being published. And
Yeah.
because ask yourself the question, how is it being consumed? And reverse engineer and create it accordingly.
Okay, so I think Ansi's actually kind of come back to us, and I think it kind of resonates what you said about your courses, because she says it's being used for news format. So I would imagine news format is kind of a repeat intro, which is a bit of has a branding element to it, and I think that resonates. So maybe you want to just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Close to news format. Oh my gosh, I am the news. That's all I watch at home. My kids are like, "Mom, that's all you watch." I'm like, I don't know. And it could be the video in me, but that's correct. You're right. You want to have that repetitive, right? For the branding, especially, like you said, you want to make, and BigVu does that well, because you can house all your different intros and outros within your project, so that way it makes it easy to stay consistent, right? And so you don't necessarily, so I believe in evergreen content as much as we possibly can to save us time. So what I would suggest, if you haven't done so already, if you look at the news, to your point, a lot of it is consistent, right? Have several of those consistent evergreen themes of intros and outros that you can use as you edit. Hopefully that makes sense.
Right, and I see also that Ansi mentioned that she wants to do two kind of elements to the intro. If that would be the case, then she may want to look at the sequencer product, which is basically a compilation of different videos where you can merge the videos together. So you could have, as you say, you could have your created standard video for the intro with the music, and then you could have maybe some kind of a branded video. I need to understand a little bit more what you're speaking about, and you could just pop them into the sequence, and then each time just do your little insert from your actual news video or whatever the content that you're adding to that is, and there may be an outro, whatever, produced by NC and Co, or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay, so let's see if we'll come back here to any questions that we get coming in on the fly. Okay, so she's already got the queue set up, so it's just a matter of adding them in. Okay, let's try and understand balancing the creative aspects of video education with like educational goals, with training goals. Let's say could be with people training. We have a lot of users that are like coaches and things like that. So obviously they want to create their content. Maybe they're creating on one side promotional content, the other side like guidance content and training programs and content, which probably have a lot of familiarities with what you're doing on the education side. So like how would you balance those two aspects to make it most beneficial?
Great question. So I'll tell you how I've done it. And I just saw a message from one of our audiences says, BigVu for courses. That's great. Yes, it is. And I want to expand on that. So how do you do that? So you mentioned in the back end, Kevin, when we're editing and we see all our frames, the one thing that I do, how do I do that? I leverage what you give us, which is the opportunity to put whether it's a stock image over one frame, okay, and or another video, right? Because having simulation, I guess, different visuals happening keeps an audience engaged. That's why we love TikTok. That's why we love Reels, right? Those B-rolls, right, that are happening. You could put that in your courses. I do that all the time. And so that's how I would leverage it. In addition to, showing yourself speaking should you want to, because I've also done a mix of voiceover with your caption and B-rolling with great relevant stock images and videos to enhance and put what I'm saying into context, right? Having this mix of ingredients in your video, in your course is absolutely going to, I know for a fact, because I have receipts, like they say, I have receipts. I've asked my students, in surveys, and they're like, this by far has been the best course I have ever taken online. I've gotten one feedback like this once, because it's concise, it's engaging, because I have the voiceover, I have the stock images over B-rolling, or videos, right? And I did it all in there in one stop. So that's what I see happening, the balance between, using a platform like BigVu, and I'm not going to say using like BigVu, I should say, into your courses or education kind of product that you want to put out. Super powerful. But again,
That's just amazing. You've kind of opened me up to something which I don't think I was really that aware and sensitive of, is that, from a business perspective, irrespective of what our business is, that the content is not just a matter of publishing the content and just letting it hang out there in the sea of social networks. Our content is an extension of ourselves. So if we want our content to live, we kind of have to play a role in that. So it may just be in a scenario like your own, which is in education, but it could just be in training where you have a video conference call with somebody and you've pre-prepared your content and you're going to just play small excerpts of your content in there just to kind of make sure that the attention span is still there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm going to go back three steps with you here, in the creation of it all. So we've been talking about your wonderful AI inside the app. And I've been using it since. So I'll tell you. So everybody watching, whether you're watching the replay or live, so I use BigVu to do the promo for you to come and watch this, right? And so I got a note from BigVu saying you need to record a 20-second video to promote, right, this conversation that we're going to have. And I'm like, really? 20 seconds? What do you say in 20 seconds, right? And what it took me, not even, no lie, you guys, 15 minutes. I literally went into my BigVu app on my phone because I was told to do it vertical, right? The video. I went to my BigVu. I went to the AI. I'm like, listen, here. I didn't say listen, but basically I went on and said, I need your help. I need your help. I'm speaking with BigVu. This is who I am. I need your help. It has to be 20 seconds to promote. This is the kind of the conversation. Took me within 15 minutes. Okay. I'll be honest. I took 4 takes because I was like, oh, let's see. Because I have time now. I'm like, oh, I could do 4 takes. And I honestly wanted to send you all 4. But within 15 minutes, I had the takes. And guess what? The longest one was 21 seconds. Right? Perfect. 21 seconds. So again, it's super powerful. And for me, balancing, I go to the AI and I say, I have this learning objective in chapter 11. I want to break down each point to be no more than 2 minutes each because I'm going to embed quizzes in between, script something for me. You have to know what you want, right? Back to what we were saying from the start. All this is going to work if you know exactly who you're talking to, what's your objective. Because if you don't, then you're going to be like, this is a waste of my time. And it will be a waste of your time. Know what you want. Where are you going to publish this video? Like you were saying, I love that. Who's consuming it? Who's your audience, right? And BigVu is the tool for you. Trust me.
So I just want to let our audience know that, as usual, in the back end, we have with us today Bruno. Bruno is really our star expert. He keeps things turning over. He's a training expert as well. And I'm going to ask Bruno if he's listening in, if perhaps he can pull up one of the videos that Martine did and just give us a shout when he's got that. We can just pop that in just to show you guys what she did. That would be amazing. So yeah, it's great. He's going to have it ready for us in a minute or so. So as soon as he's ready with that, we'll pop that in just to show you guys what happened. And a couple of things that we did with that on our side as well, we can show you a little bit. And I think that's all about it. Today it's about taking the content that you have and repurposing it, making sure that it does the job for you. So it's all about knowing your audience. I suppose that's really essential to know your audience. So content is just one aspect of just a much broader, holistic picture of business. I'd say today it's a great communicator.
And I'd love to jump in and add to this, Kevin. I agree with you. Like one thing, if for the audience that's met me before at conferences, when I go speak, or even my students, if you're watching, you'll hear Professor Cadet talks about this all the time. 2 things. If you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And the second thing that I always talk about is content, right, leads to conversations that leads to conversion. Many of us, I get it. I was there. I'm like, I'm putting content out, videos out on YouTube to convert. Well, that is true, and it's going to happen. The one thing that I know I forgot, and that's why I keep saying it to all of us, and you watching included, you have to have that conversation in between.
Yeah. And so it's amazing. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just so interesting what you say because, I work as well on the support channel. And when we started out, we use Intercom in our support, and it's a great tool as well. But Intercom, when we started out, they used to call each case that came, used to call it a query. And at some point, Intercom switched over and they said it's a conversation. And they obviously understood the importance of having a conversation with the client, with your user, because firstly, it's much more respectful. You're dealing with a human being, trying to bring that human element into it. And also just it changes your perspective on how you relate to the person that's out there or the person that you want to reach.
Yep.
So that really resonates.
Very important. And I'll just share it again in case everybody's like, what are you guys talking about? We're talking about having the mindset of when you're creating that content on BigVu, or, and beyond, but truly content leads to conversations, right? That will lead to conversion. And, it's as simple as that. And when you have this mindset, I'll end with this when it comes to that is, you become, you tap into your creative genius because you're creating to start a conversation. It's so much more fun.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so at the same time, Bruno's just let us know that the video is ready. He says it's a vertical, so let's see how it works. Apparently, it's something. Let's try and run that through and see, just to show the users. Go right ahead, Bruno. Bring it in.
Cadet, and I want to.
Okay, so let's let him see it. Probably the format wise, I'm not sure if we could have got it onto the reach stream. We'll try and bring that up again. Bruno will let us know if he gets that sorted. But all good. Let's move forward. Okay. Right, let's see. Okay. Let me just see. Let me see if I can bring it up on my side. Anyway, let's move forward. I'll just try and bring it up on my side and see if that'll work on my side. So we've spoken a little bit about balancing the creative aspects of video creation with our with educational goals, with company strategy goals, and so on. So, what kind of tips would you offer to educators looking to incorporate video content into their teaching or into their training, and so on and so forth?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Public speaking on video is very intimidating. I know it. We're scared of showing up. Oh, is my hair okay? Is my lighting okay? I get all this. But if you don't try, you won't know. And the good news is the fear of I'm going to stumble on my words, the fear of I'm not going to have enough time, I'm going to run over, all these are gone when you use BigVu. Why? Because you will know. It'll give you a sense of how long your script is. Is it 30 minutes? Is it 20 seconds? Like the one we're going to watch shortly, right? So that confidence should already be there for you. And I would give you as an advice to try it out, with your voice so that you could leverage the editing part of things, right? Do voiceovers, okay? And BigVu gives you the opportunity to do those B-rolls and the caption, right? And then as you do it over and over, I know your confidence is going to build more to see yourself on the screen. Listen, at the end of the day, as educators, as coaches, we are change makers, right? And being able to connect with our audience right off the bat is key. And video does that, right? What BigVu is giving us is the opportunity to structure it, do it well, so that we save time and we're clear with our messages, and it's as natural. It's you, right? It's you. And so my advice again, as for educators to look into video, is definitely try out BigVu because of those reasons that I shared with you: the timing, the scripting, and you want your students, whether they're online, hybrid, or in person, whether you're communicating on video, to know you, right? It's part of that personal branding. And instead of just posting an announcement in your Canvas or Blackboard about the upcoming finals, what if you put the announcement and have a video and say, get ready for the finals? You could do it. We have XYZ learning objective in the final. They're going to be more engaged, your student, that is. So I'm challenging you. Hopefully you'll use it.
Okay, we'll see. Perfect. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can bring the video up now. Let's see if I'm successful with that. Let's just see. It just looks like. Okay. Let's see.
Yep. Audio. I don't think the audio is playing.
Okay, the audio is not playing through?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just, all right, so let's just stop that on there. Bring it back. I'm not sure. Let me just see. I'll go and see if I can pick it up again. Not important. Let's move forward. Okay, perfect.
It's on my social. There you go.
Okay, absolutely.
You have it on your handles. So you could see this video on the BigVu LinkedIn page, Instagram page. It's there.
Perfect. Okay. So let's okay, great. So let's see. We've got Tyreek, who kind of resonated what you said. You know, content leads to conversions, which lead conversations, which leads to conversions, and also about getting your mindset right. They were asking if you have your own YouTube channel.
The answer is I do, but I have yet to. Oh, guilty. Hashtag guilty. I have to leverage BigVu to get fresh content in there. But I do. Yes, I do. You will find me there.
I recommend that Terry reach out to you on LinkedIn. I'm sure you're going to get a conversation going, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy, hooking up with Martine in that sense as well there. Okay, so let's see if we have anything specific from our audience today that they want to know on that side of things. So let me just ask you, you've got a balance that you yourself personally have kind of worked on between lecturing, training, between consulting and creating your own content. There's a lot of effort, I'm sure, that you're putting into that, a lot of time. How do you balance your time between the different elements so that you can kind of make sure you're not getting over engaged in one of the elements, and that could harm your overall business strategy or your overall objectives, let's say?
Yeah, great question. And so for those of you who are busy like me, I embrace my calendar. So we are, as we speak, doing this video, we're shy of less than a month away from the fall semester to start. School's about to start, right? And I have my calendar, right, blocked for each of my courses. Mind you, those are most of them are courses that I've taught the last semester. But as educators, especially the field of marketing that's ever changing, I'm always finding myself revamping the content. And so how do I manage it all? And what I suggest you to do for you that's, doing it all, because we all are doing it all. For me, what works is my calendar. I honestly, and discipline. So BigVu has been a big part of that for me. Why? Because I blocked a Saturday to work on my introduction to business course. That's going to last the next 16 weeks, right? For the semester of fall. That's Saturday, right? The first portion, 8 hours a day, 8 hour of the day. The first 2 hours, it's about going into BigVu and scripting all my content. And I'm sticking to it, right? And then the latter of the day is about recording. And as I'm recording, it's in the cloud in BigVu. By the end of the day, the videos are there, and I have another day for the editing, which is probably going to take me an hour or two. But the good news is about us educators, we could drip the content. Yeah. So it's not like I'm going to sit and edit the entire semester. But I did one sitting of recording the content, and it flows so well for me. I don't know for anybody else, versus doing it in separate days, because I'm engaged with the content. Everything is connected because I'm doing it in one production day. And BigVu gives me the opportunity to do that. Yeah. So I hardly find myself doing retakes, right? In fact, I find myself adding more because I'm like, oh, this was so good. Let's add some more, And I have to catch myself because I'm like, wait, I'm on a schedule here. So, to answer your question, hopefully I am. What I'm doing is I schedule myself and I stick to my calendar. And so for those of you who, engage with me, it's all organized. It's all disciplined because I want to serve you well. And I believe that if we do things on the fly, we're not going to be invested enough. We're going to answer, but not as much as we would if we were taking a step back and saying, right now I'm going to engage, I'm going to record, I'm going to reply to this email. So I encourage you to build a schedule for yourself and stick to it. It's challenging, but it's possible. You can do it. If I can, you can.
That is a fantastic answer. And I'll tell you why I think it's a fantastic answer. Firstly, I think everybody out there agrees that you need the discipline to set up time aside for your content. And I think it's also all a learning process. Everything's a learning process. Content creation, improving your content creation. And I think what you said is very relevant. You record the content and you don't go back to the content. I don't think there's anything such conception as perfect content. There's maybe more professionally produced content than that, but there's not perfect content. So I think for especially for small businesses, solopreneurs, people that are creating their own content, I think it's important to know that, your video you did today, that's great. You did your video, you achieved that. Your next video is going to be a bit better. And the video after that's going to be a bit better. Instead of having a mindset, and I think it's very much about mindset, is that, I have to get it right, because you're not going to get it right. Getting it right is firstly, it's like, I think it's a kind of an objective that we set for ourselves, which is fine. It's great to have, really high objectives in that. But at the same time, we want to move forward. We want the content to work for us. And the content's going to work. It doesn't matter if it's imperfect. As long as you're doing it, you're setting out, you're learning, you're always improving yourself. And I think, Martine, you're a great example of that, because your career, you've improved, you've built yourself up, and you're continuing to build yourself up and moving forward. And I think that, that's it. You shouldn't be get despondent and down because content creation requires a lot of investment and time, and it's difficult. You should say, I'm starting here. Tomorrow's going to be better. The next day is going to be better. The next video I do. And you'll see, 6 months down the line, if you compare the videos, you'll be much more adept at creating the videos. You'll know more. You'll know your audience better. So it's really a learning process. And I think that like what you said is really so important. It's just to go ahead, go forward with it. Make sure you're moving forward. If you're moving forward, then you're learning. You're moving forward, you're learning. If you're standing still, you're going back, you're reworking. So that's really relevant. And
yeah. And I'd love to add, Kevin, I'm big on personal branding, right? Because one, that's what's gotten me here, and I continue to speak about it. And I have found myself using BigVu, recording a lecture that's script, and stumbling on my words, because sometimes you're getting so excited and the content that's coming, and your brain, for whatever reason, decides not to read anymore and wants to say something else. And that's happened to me. And I remember when it's happened to me initially, I used to be very anxious and upset that I have to do the retake, especially towards the end of the video, because it was so good. And I'm like, oh, of course I had to mess it up, right? Now, when I'm recording and it happens, I embrace it. And I'm like, oh, actually, I meant to say. And I do that because I'm like, it's okay, because you want to show that personality. The one thing we don't want to do, and we're going to take cues from the news that we watch. They all use teleprompter. Most, bring that personality. The teleprompter is there to help us. It's the GPS.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, if you're reading that script and you have no idea what it means, trust me, we'll be able to see that in that video.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we'll see a complete disconnect. So the one thing I don't want you to do is to read the script word for word with no emotion, no personality, no investment. And if you do it with emotions, personality, and showing investment, like I said, I want you to, and you make a mistake, awesome.
Amazing.
Make a mistake.
That's why we're so privileged to have you here today, Martine, and all of our speakers. And I'll tell you why, because we believe at BigVu that we want to give our users solutions to problems in content creation, technical solutions. But at the end of the day, it remains a technical solution. And if you don't have that human element, you don't have that kind of skill set learning, which is what all you professional speakers and consultants and people bring to us and to our audience, is that there are different levels to it. And it's a learning process, and it's really, everybody's been there. I don't think you can think that Martine that's presenting today, if you'd probably seen her 15 years ago, would probably have been a completely different story. So, you need to be optimistic and positive, and just know that you're going to get there. It's just a matter of being consistent and not you only lose, like I think there's a famous saying, I'm not sure where it comes from, but you only lose when you stop trying. And that's it. So, stop.
Right. I
So,
love,
you guys are all winners, and just keep doing it.
yeah.
And we're really grateful for having people like yourself on board. Absolutely. Just bringing such a rich knowledge to our users. And I really want to accentuate that point. The skills, the soft skills side is just so important, because it's just a matter of, everybody has a personality. There's no one, and everybody has a different personality. And you kind of learn about yourself a lot as well. And when you put yourself out there, it's challenging. I remember the first time I used the teleprompter, and I thought, okay, this is going to be great. And I saw the recorded video. And I said, hey, wait a minute, I was using the teleprompter. This is terrible. And it's okay. It's okay at the end of the day. It can be scary. It can put you off, but don't let that. Don't be put off by yourself, because at the end of the day, everybody has something to offer. And if you work at it, you're definitely going to get it out. You're going to find your audience. It doesn't have to appear. You don't have to appear to everybody. Nope. It's like Martine was saying. Find your audience. Find who you targeting, because they're going to connect with you, because they're going to understand who you are, and your message is going to get across.
Yep. Very important. If you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And the other point that I want to make, added to what Kevin just shared with you, sure, there's many other people on this chat right now that's probably doing what you're doing. But guess what? They don't do it the way you do it. And that's why I'm so big on making sure that your personal brand, you know it. And it's so cool because it's yours. You don't have to try hard. You see me on this video right now. When I see you in person, it'll be the same person. Okay? And so I'm with you, Kevin. I definitely believe it's a process. I always say this: scale with precisions. 2-3 weeks from now, 4 years since I lost my corporate job due to COVID, and I reinvented myself. And if it wasn't for tools like BigVu to leverage the online space for my personal brand, listen, thank you guys. And I know it's going to be possible for you watching, and you just got to keep at it, just like Kevin said, because that's what I'm doing. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. But hopefully today, what I shared with you and what Kevin shared with you will give you a little bit more push to keep going.
What a great reason to reach out to Martine for those 3 giveaway meetings that she's graciously giving to our users. So just reach out to her through the LinkedIn. Bruno, at the end of the day, will put the details in the chat, and you can contact Martine. At the same time, I'd like to bring Dwayne. Dwayne had a couple of suggestions which were pretty interesting. I'd like to get Martine's feedback over that.
Mm-hmm. Those are great, Dwayne. Those are great suggestions. Have overlays that are industry specific. Realtors pack, educators pack, business pack. Love that. That's a great idea, because then that helps curate intentionally.
So that's another thing that I think Martine already mentioned, is that in BigVu, in the video maker, you can introduce images, you can introduce video clips, so you can basically use the captions, use the audio track, and just overlay your existing video on that. There's a lot of things you can do on there. Also, for people that want to go kind of the call to action route, we have video landing pages, which is on the pages. You can set the page up, create your video, do a call to action with some kind of either mail me or call me, or different call to actions on there. So there's a lot of things, and there's a lot happening on the back end side as well, which we're working on as well for our users, and continually kind of trying to reinvent ourselves, which I think is probably why we kind of synced with Martine, because she's just continually reinventing herself and learning and moving forward. So.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. I am. And, I love how easy it is to use BigVu when it comes to taking that one video that was edited landscape and turning it into a portrait mode and still be able to edit it for that purpose of, like we've been talking about, make sure you know where it's going. And it's, the system makes it super easy to repurpose, right? Repurposing content is something that is very, very key and powerful.
Perfect, perfect. So, Martine, let's just see if you know, any of you in the audience, if you have any questions for Martine, because we're close to closing up now. Let's just get a bit of some closing remarks from you, Martine. Just a little bit of like what you would recommend for people that are starting out. First thing I'd recommend would be to watch the replay of the video on our YouTube channel. It's going to be available on the YouTube channel. There's so much amazing content that Martine has brought in, and ideas and knowledge. So that definitely is one thing. And let's just get Martine's a little bit of an input on kind of.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Kevin. Definitely rewatch this. But I have to tell you, subscribe. And I'm not saying this to be like, BigVu, but it's true. Subscribe to the BigVu YouTube channel. Bruno's video, I met Bruno for the first time today, but I've known Bruno for years. Because Bruno helped me graduate BigVu University with all the wonderful tutorial videos he has in there, and he breaks it down so well. You know, so much you could do, right? And so I would highly, if you're just starting out, subscribe to the BigVu YouTube channel like I have, and watch those tutorials. But most importantly, you know, like I said at the top of the conversation, you gotta understand what's the purpose of that video that you want to create. So for me, you know, I sit back. I'm wearing many hats. I'm a professor, so that's a different video. I'm also promoting my personal brand. That's a different video. You follow where I'm coming from? So you need to be clear on the purpose of your video, the business goals of your video, right? The conversion goals of your video, so that you can go into BigVu intentionally. And I encourage you, if you're just starting out, or if you're still in there already, leverage the AI generator that's embedded to have a very constructive conversation with it to help you script that video that fits your voice, right? So before we go into BigVu and create all those things and go to the workshop and see Bruno's workshops, let's take a step back, think through our creative genius of what it is we want to impact the world with. Let's be clear on that, because we can't talk to everybody. And then let's get to the creation mode and production with BigVu. If you're just starting out, that's what I would say.
What great advice, great advice. And I'd like to actually invite Bruno on board just for closing up, because Bruno's on the back end. If he's available, let's see, he may be busy on the back end as well, but let's see if he can join us. We'd be happy to have him on.
Hey, everyone, I'm here.
Welcome, Bruno. Welcome. So, for those of you that don't know Bruno is really our expert trainer. If you want to know anything about BigVu, check out his videos on our YouTube channel. Join his weekly webinars. Bruno invests a lot of effort and time into BigVu, and he's just the nicest guy on top of it. So, really, in fact, this Thursday he's got a workshop coming up, which may be of interest to you. I'll let him give you a little bit of background on that.
This Thursday, guys, we'll be releasing a new BigVu feature. We have something coming to BigVu. If you're a realtor, professor, it doesn't matter the kind of video you create, you're a traveler, a blogger, I don't know. But what if you could create videos reading a teleprompter while you have an auto face tracking using AI? So you have a tripod following you. So maybe you, Martine, you're explaining something to your students. You can move around, walk here, go here and there while you're reading a teleprompter. So this Thursday, we're promoting this new BigVu feature with this tripod that you can use to do that. So just use this link in the chat to join us this Thursday at 4 p.m. EST. And I'd love to see you guys there and see what is coming to BigVu.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Bruno. So a big thank you to Martine. We really were really grateful that you joined us, and you've just given so much of yourself, such fantastic advice. Really very, when you watch the replay, you guys are going to just see how there's a fine line to what Martine says, And if you can pick it up, it can really be a change factor in your content. So we're really grateful to you. Check out Martine on her LinkedIn channel. Connect with her so that you can qualify for one of those 3 lucky persons that are going to get an introductory consultation with Martine. And I'm sure she's going to give you lots of nuggets in that as well. So I really encourage you to do that. And to all our audience, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us on our workshops, and keep checking our workshops out. And best, and wishing you lots of success in your content creation. Thanks very much, Martine.
Thank you.
Yeah, and before we finish, let me try to play Martine's video. Let's see if it's going to work now. Let's see. Let's try.
Let's try.
Let me know if you guys can hear.
Oh, no. No audio.
Okay.
Audio's not,
Okay,
no,
guys.
yeah.
So we tried. We tried.
Check it out on our LinkedIn channel.
Next time.
It's on the BigVu LinkedIn page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's
Thank
guys.
you. Thanks, Bruno.
Thank you.
Thanks for going. Be well.
Bye. Thank you.
Videos you're proud of. Easily trim your video by selecting the words where you want to start and end. Color your presentation with automatic subtitles and highlighting keywords. Add your brand logo. Add music for an emotional touch. Add your contact info on an animated business card on all your videos. Easily replace green screen with an image or a video loop. Stand out with a web page with your logo, your video at the center, and personalized button for visitors to interact. It's one tap to simultaneously upload your videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Always know what to say.